Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Jurjan and Régis. Now it's time for our second round of Q&As. We will have 10 to 15 minutes for that. So once again, if you have a question here in the room, please raise your hand, company and name. And for those following us on the live stream, you know the drill. You have the QR code and also the slido.com. So I think I'll start to see if we have any questions here in the room. Yes?
Hi, this is Pallav from Barclays. So you mentioned that the US mass market cigar is expected to grow below the group divisional average. So would it make sense to combine with the cigar business of Swedish Match once that is spun off next year?
Yeah, I think you can start and then notes can continue.
So maybe to repeat your question on the handmade cigar, was it on the handmade cigar market?
Mass market.
Mass market. Okay, so for us, our presence in the US on mass market machines, cigars, is really limited. Basically, we pulled out because it's either invest for 10 years or a big acquisition. Yeah, of course, you mentioned Swedish Match comes up. And in principle, we don't comment really on on the discussions on specific targets. And yeah, so cannot really comment on that one. Would it supplement nicely? Probably yes, but yeah, we have to see.
If I can ask one more question on the Algeo acquisition. So in a number of European countries, the market share grew significantly, but in UK it has been flattish. So why is it different in UK versus Italy, France, and other countries?
Yeah, thanks for the question, and I think it's basically quite a simple answer because Algeo was quite small in the UK. So STG already had a significant market share, but we saw very little impact from the Algeo transaction into the UK market. So I hope that answered your question.
Okay, I can see there's a lot of questions coming in from the live stream. So I think we'll start with the first one. And that is, how has Big Tobacco entering the machine-made cigar market, we call it machine-rolled cigars segment, how has that caused volume decline in Europe to slow from 3 to 5% to 3%? So please elaborate. So the question really is their entrance into the machine-made market. How has that kind of changed the overall market dynamic?
Yeah, and also this I think is a very good question, and thanks for that. So let me first of all say that we saw the market trend improving in general throughout the last few years, and that both is on the back of COVID-19, but indeed also driven by the entry of Big Tobacco into our category. And I think what you should realize is that the cigar market is a niche market. And when Big Tobacco is entering our market, with their muscle, they can build distribution of a new product relatively quick. And our business relative to cigarettes is very small. So when they launch the product, they actually have a significant impact on our market. And they create new segments that we also can tap into. And that is basically driving that the market decline has slightly improved. And therefore, we also say that it goes from -3 to -5 to a -3 going forward.
And maybe just again for you, Jurjan, here, a follow-up on this is how sustainable do you believe the new decline rate is in machine-rolled cigars in Europe? And has it really changed the outlook for the division? So I think you have addressed it slightly.
Yeah, let me first of all, say that we cannot give specific outlooks for our division going forward. But I believe that this is sustainable, and the reason I believe it, that we already have seen the first significant impact following TPD2 implementation in 2017. And the product that has grown in a number of places actually is still there, and we believe, therefore, that it's sustainable. And we also see it with the growth of our own products that we launched in this particular segment.
Perfect. Thank you. And then I think we have a question for Sarah, and that goes for the store selection or location selection. What really drive your decisions on picking one selection from another?
Excellent question. So we use a data-driven scoring methodology, leveraging a third-party partner. So some of the factors that go into the store location, certainly population, income, traffic, things of that nature. But we've established an algorithm, and we leverage inputs from third party. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll take another one from the live stream before seeing if there's anybody in the room here, and that is for you, Régis, I think. So how confident are you that the sustainability of the higher US demand for handmade cigars is going forward?
Yeah, so we actually believe this is sustainable, and we believe that there is an uplift during the COVID period, and we believe that the current level is actually the new normal. So we do believe this is sustainable, and then on top, if there would be a drop, we have so many activities in place and strategies that we will be able to compensate that if that happens. So.
Okay, thank you. And just ask if there should be any questions in the room. Yes, Jerry?
Excuse me again. I've got no knowledge whatsoever of the, well, limited, of the cigar consumer in Texas relative to the one in Florida, relative to the one in Pennsylvania. But the fact that you choose Texas and Florida doesn't surprise me. What is it about Pennsylvania? I've got excise in the back of my head. Could you talk about why Pennsylvania works?
Absolutely. Good question. And you were on the right path. All of those states have low excise tax, actually none in most cases. So Pennsylvania was the origination of our retail stores simply because it was our backyard, and operationally it was easy to execute out of our distribution center. But there's also high consumption in Texas and Florida.
And I think you just should stay on stage for just a while, Sarah.
Sure.
Because there's a question here again from the live stream. What's the end game on the retail expansion, and how much will it contribute to divisional sales?
Yeah. So right now we envision 20 to 25 stores in the next 5 or so years. And as you saw in the presentation earlier today, our 7 stores account for 7% of our sales. So you can use that as a gauge for what to expect in the future. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then we have one question here from Andre.
Looking at your rest of the world business, what would make an attractive market for you, not only to keep it as a rest of the world with its separate distribution, etc., but to actually enter it properly, much like you did, I don't know, France, UK, Germany, for instance?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So in principle, what we're doing right now is that, as what I said, we have certain pockets of net sales opportunities, like in Asia, like in South America. The key is to get critical mass there. And those markets are relatively small, which needs to be nurtured and basically grown up. So it is about, is that going to happen in the next few years? Maybe, maybe not. But it's really about if a market takes off or not. And this, at the moment, really about selecting the right distribution partners that we have. And we prefer to have a distribution partner that covers multiple countries. And build it like that. Yeah.
And then we have 2 questions for you, Jurjan. First of all, how much is the acquisition of Mossy growing your market share in Italy?
Yeah, thanks for that question again. And of course, we are very delighted with the announcement last week where we announced the acquisition of the majority stake of Mossy. And we are not disclosing any market shares locally in local markets. But what I can tell you is that the Italian market, and if you look at that market, that volume-wise, the segment that this product is playing into is maybe about 25%. However, the value of this market is between 60 and 70%. So what we're looking at here is driving value and not so much a volume share. So I hope that that has answered the question.
And the next question is on the Café Crème name change to Signature in France and also for that matter in Spain. Is that only in those two markets, or have you done it in other markets as well? And how did it actually impact your net sales?
Yeah, so what we have seen when the Tobacco Product Directive was implemented in 2017 is that some member states put more pressure on the name change of Café Crème than others. But here we took a prudent approach and mitigated the risk by changing the name Café Crème to Signature in all our markets in the EU. And the question here also, did it have any measurable impact to sales? Well, we didn't see a negative impact of sales. Actually, what we have seen by changing the name, we believe we actually had a positive impact on the brand. The Café Crème brand was quite a traditional and old brand, built around quite a traditional part of the market. And with Signature, actually, we have created a potential for further growth. So actually, it had the opposite from a negative impact.
Okay, thank you, Jurjan. And I think unless there are more questions in the room here. Yes, Andre, another one.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you work together with Louis XIII. Did I hear correctly? Can you elaborate on that, just for my curiosity?
Yeah, so on that one, and we have that with many brands. So with the Rabbit Hole, with Weller, so a lot of affinity brands that our consumers are connected with. Louis XIII, we do use that partnership with brand ambassadors. So when we go to store, when we do our events, when Sean is doing his Cohiba events, then we do have Louis XIII present. So
that's US only, right?
US only, yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you. I think we will take a stop again, just a short break. We will be back here 5 minutes to the hour. And after that, after Marianne's presentation, there will be plenty of time for more questions for all of them. So thank you.